Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for attending our live webinar today. I'm so sorry, but we've had some technical difficulties. So one of my business partners, Joe, is not quite with me yet, but he will pop in a little while. So we'll just kind of kick off and get into it. So Joe and I will be doing the presentation today when he gets here. And what we're going to go through today is, where do these questions come from? So we're going to go through 5 questions. Oh, maybe Joe's here now.
Can you hear me?
I'm getting some feedback over here, though. Are you guys getting that feedback?
No.
I can see myself echoing. I don't know if anyone's on. Maybe you can tell us if I'm echoing, or maybe it's just a me problem. Yeah, I thought so, Pete. I might mute myself. Thanks, guys. I'll hop out. You might continue on, Joe, and I'll hopefully stop this.
Can everyone? Is everyone hearing me? Amy, Tam, can you hear me? Yep. Excellent. I'm hoping I'm not echoing. I'm not getting any on my end. Okay, great. We'll get this worked out in the end. Sorry, guys. Okay, so where do the questions? We're going to cover off on a few things here. Where do these questions come from, for a start? What our 5 best questions are for 2025. A bit of a bonus question that we've also had from time to time that's come up that we think is worthwhile touching on as well. A bit of a question there. We always focus on, in these things, what to implement and what to take away. We're big on the actual actions happening out of these rather than just sharing ideas. So we'll give you some tips, and hopefully you can take one of those away and put it into place, and we'll discuss that at the end, and we're going to have some more question time at the end. If there's some other questions that pop up, please feel free to add them into the chat on the way through. If they're relevant and they're about the thing we're talking about at the time, we'll answer them. Otherwise, we might hold them over until the end, if that's okay. Tam, how are you travelling there now? Can you give that a try?
Hopefully. Can anyone hear an echo now? Yeah. It's annoying.
Still getting an
one
echo.
person means enough, not 2.
Okay, we'll keep it going. So, one of the things we always talk about is taking one idea out of these things. We're going to go through 6 questions here actually, and then possibly some other things if there's some further questions that come out of it, and 6 tips as well. Really, just taking one thing away from this and implementing it in your business is going to make a massive difference. So please make sure that you're really honing in on one particular thing that's most relevant to you and your business, or that resonates the most, and then you take that and run with it. Okay. Where do these questions come from? So we've got 25 accountants and advisors as part of our team. Roughly, give or take, the little head count I did this morning, that's where I got to, but it's somewhere around there. And I've been a bit conservative here as to how many questions per week I reckon they get. That's 2 per day. I think there's a lot more than that. So it's probably makes the total even bigger. And so we've got 25 accountants, at least 10 questions per week, 45 weeks in the year. That they're working after you take out your holidays and other things. That's over 11,000 questions a year. I reckon that's probably easy double that, to be honest, that we deal with within our business. So it's a huge amount of questions. Now, not all those questions are unique and individual. They're quite often themed or about similar sort of things, because similar sort of challenges in business all the way through. But it's a lot of questions that we get asked, a lot of things we talk to clients about. So we're pretty uniquely placed to, I suppose, be able to see an entire gamut of business operators, the challenges they're experiencing, and then be able to provide some advice that's pretty universal across all of those. So before we start, if we can, I've just got a quick question for you. And we used to do polls. We can't do this in this platform. So we'll just get you to type in the chat if you can. Based on your experience in running your business, what do you think will be some of the regular themes or key issues that we're asked about? So please share a couple of ideas in the chat. I'll just give you a couple of seconds to add those in. What do you think would be some of the things we'd be asked about regularly? I know we've got a couple.
Am I going now, Joe? Yeah.
Try again, Tim. I've been able to hear you echo the whole time, so I'm not very well placed to be able to answer that. Sorry. I can't hear you echoing.
Okay, what about now? Yeah.
All right. Are we getting some things through? Nerida. Why don't I seem to be making any money even though a lot comes in?
I like it, Nerida.
Spot on, Nerida. Yep, that's. I think you've actually just nailed almost exactly one of the questions I'm going to run through. So yes, absolutely. Now we've got a couple of team members on here. You're pretty easily placed to be able to put some suggestions in here because you probably get some of these questions, I think. So feel free to add any in. Any other thoughts? I'll move on in 10 seconds or so if nothing comes through. Thanks, Nerida, for putting that in. Appreciate that. Okay, we'll move on. You guys are obviously pretty keen to see what the actual questions are rather than trying to guess them. Okay, we're going to move straight into the questions. There are 5 of them, and then a bonus question as well. And we'll start. This is a pretty broad one, and it's pretty common. Businesses that are growing. So the question is, I feel like we're growing and that we are busier than ever, but the numbers don't back it up. What's going on? So some of the things, and the format we've taken here is that's the question, the pain points that people are feeling when they're asking this question. We'll put 2 or 3 on there for each of the questions, and then we're going to talk about on the following slide what what we talk through with when we get a question like this. So the pain points of this one are feeling stuck despite you putting more effort in than ever before. So you're getting busier and busier, but perhaps the numbers aren't changing, or they're not going as up as quickly as you'd like them to be. Constantly firefighting, but never moving forward. So you're always putting out little spot fires day to day. No clarity on what's actually working or where time is being wasted. So the bigger an organisation gets, the more efficient it can be, but also it's exponential either way. The more inefficient it can be as well, because there's more moving parts in there. All right. So our advice and things we talk about when a client asks this question, and obviously this is particular to every single different circumstance and what they're doing in their businesses, but working harder. Broadly speaking, working harder isn't the answer. Working smarter is. Now that's a very broad statement, but to put it simply, just stopping for a second, having a breath, and zooming out a little bit to work out where you need to focus on, and then going back in and doing it. Because doing in a business is always the most important thing. It will take up the most amount of time, but at the end of the day, if you're focusing and trying to do spread yourself and your team across a whole vast variety of things, when there's challenges in a particular area, you're going to go backwards. We're certainly not going to go forwards. Inefficiency and lack of direction kills progress. So if we don't all know the direction we're pulling in, it can be very hard to move in that direction. And perhaps at times there's people in the organisation, either intentionally or not intentionally, pulling in different directions. It might just be through a lack of understanding and clarity. So get clear on your destination and then align the people, processes and priorities from that. And we're going to talk about that word priorities a bit later. Measure it, keep it visible and review it regularly. This does not mean meetings for the sake of meetings, but it means regularly staying on top of it and going, okay, are we focusing on the right things? And are we moving in the right direction? Are we seeing changes? Do we need to stay the journey? Do we need to change things up? What does it look like? And once the team is aligned around what really matters, every hour moves the business forward, not sideways or backwards. Right? So alignment is very, very important. So one tip we use quite regularly with clients in this space is going through your workflow process with the team. So find the weak points and prioritise the action. So review your workflow as an owner of a leadership group. So if it's just you as a sole trader, do that. If you've got a team, complete the same exercise with the entire team, not just the operations people or the admin people, everyone in the team. Not only does it get you on the same page, because there's particularly the team one. I did one of these last week with a team of people, and there was salespeople in there was admin people, there was operations people. None of them knew what the other ones did. Or I shouldn't say that. None of them knew to the level of detail that was helpful to them, what the other ones did, and what the impact of what they did or didn't do in their role was downstream. So breaking that down, keeping it simple, break it to 8 or 10 steps. We don't need a big long flow chart. Keep it as simple as possible, and then rank each out of 10. So and then start with the lowest score or the thing that's having the most impact. And when I say start with that, we start working on that area. What things can you improve? We don't need to improve the whole 8 or 10. More than likely, when we do this with clients, it's generally only 1 or 2 things that really require that focus, and then it brings everything up to a level to start, and then you can expand from there. If you're more inventory focused, so workflow or a process of going through completing a project or doing something for a client or customer isn't as long. It's more about the buying of the inventory. Then complete that similar process, but around reviewing each stock line, how well they turn over, and that sort of thing, and review the ordering process. I know that's something that Tam talks about a lot as well. Emotional ordering causes enormous issues. So ordering without a process, just ordering because you feel like it or because a rep asked you to do something, it leads to a lot of excess inventory. All right, question number 2. Money's coming in, but it feels like it is going straight back out again. How do I fix that? So the pain points here are you're always juggling bills, tax and wages. There's always something to pay. Lots of money coming in. This is exactly what you're talking about, Nerida, but no breathing space. So it's coming in, but it's going back out again. No visibility. There's guesswork. It's a lot of guesswork and no control over that. All right. Okay, so what we talk about here, your income isn't usually the issue as far as the level. Sometimes it is, but it's usually timing associated with that. So cash flow. You can't fix what you can't see. A cash flow forecast gives you control over that. Track when money comes in and goes out. Implement systems that enable you to speed up that process, or to have a bit more awareness about each stage of it, and for the money to come in at the right times. Once you see the pattern, you can plan to get ahead. Review your personal and your non-key business expenses, and know key numbers like your cash flow break even and your monthly sales targets and what you should be aiming at. Knowledge is power, absolutely. So our number 1 tip here is actually run your business from a budget and not your bank balance. A lot of people run and make decisions based on what's in the bank, and we'll talk about that in a minute when it comes to tax. But complete a cash flow budget for the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. The reason we put 3 in there is that, or 3 different options in there, is that sometimes it can be fine just to look at it in the short term. And if it's big and messy and a bit hard and you're not sure about it, well, start with something that's a little bit less daunting. So even if that's a month, that's okay. Have a look at what's coming up, get your head around that. And then for a lot of businesses, that month just repeats itself. So once you get your head around what that looks like, then you're in a position to be able to plan for the next 12 months and expand that out. And make time to monitor performance against it. So it gives you visibility, removes surprises, and lets you plan instead of react. So if you know you're in a seasonal business, say for instance you're in a tourist town, or a business like an orchard or cropping business where you've got a significant amount of expenses at a particular period of time and then a large amount of income at another point in time, knowing what that looks like. Again, it's pretty standard year on year. Gives you that ability to go, okay, yeah, we're going to make this decision now, and we need some money here. We might need to go and talk to the bank, whatever that looks like. So you can't fix what you can't see. Brings calm and control. You've already thought through it, so when it does occur, you're sort of expecting it, and it's not as stressful. It also educates you better on the financial side of your business and keeps you accountable to something. Quite often when we do this process with clients, it's repeat month on month, quarter on quarter, year on year. The same things happen over and over again. And the challenge with improvement, growth, and change management is what you're doing is changing those rhythms slightly. And that might cost you a bit more money. It might cost you a bit more time. It might stretch those out as well, which means you as in your payment terms and the cash not being in the bank. So you might need to be able to either save up for that before you move forward or access a bank facility to help out with that. Just put a budget in place. Start with something and build it out from there. Don't try and do a 12-month, 2-year, 3-year cash flow budget. Just start small and build it up. So a lot of the tips we run with here. Tam, how are you going?
I'm hoping it's going to work now. No, I'm getting echoing again. Damn it. Sorry for attendees, just a bit of mucking around on the run here. There is a little thing on your settings, Tam, that says echo cancellation. Have you ticked that? Yeah.
Is it ticked?
It is, yeah.
And it's still echoing?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Although it's not now. I can't hear it now.
Okay. Oh, it sounds good now.
There we go. Yeah, cool. All right. I think we're on.
Let's run with it. All right. Well, you might as well jump into question 3 then. Now, that's okay.
Okay. I'm so over being shocked with massive tax bills. Why do they keep catching me out? So a lot of clients, they're feeling at that point in time that they're being blindsided by bills that they're not prepared for. So BAS, super, tax at the end of the year. And it feels like tax is something that's happening to them, not necessarily something that they're able to plan for. And it can be really frustrating. And they have then that distrust towards the system, or their past accountant or their current accountant, or just, that frustration that they're always sending money out and it's not necessarily fair. That's what we get a lot of, isn't it, Joe?
Absolutely. Yep.
So our advice, if you've attended a few of these, Joe and I talk about the bucket system quite a lot. Now, the bucket system is in its very simple form that we're going to talk about today. It is just another bank account for tax. There are some really complex bucket systems where you have lots of different bank accounts for different types of things, but in very simplistic terms, the very first thing that we say to any business, new business being established, or anyone who's struggling with, tax and having enough money aside for tax, is create a separate bucket to put money in, so that tax time isn't going to be a surprise. It is at the same time every year, same quarters or monthly BASs if you've got that. We do lodge relatively similar times for a lot of clients. So you can start to be able to plan for that when you have some sort of system in place. So we can plan quarterly, estimate profits, and then build that into your cash flow. So you're putting a set amount aside each time, and then you're not going to have a shock at the end. So making sure that you're educating yourself as a business owner about tax. What's the difference between a BAS? What's the difference between a tax return? And what, expenses have GST and income has GST for you. So actually take the time to educate yourself, I think is always step number one. And treating tax like another expense so that it's not just an afterthought.
Yeah, that's right. That last point there, the businesses that I see do really well with this stuff are past that. Right? They understand that we're doing absolutely everything we can to minimise that expense, but it is an expense, and it's not optional. It's a legal requirement. It's there, so you can minimise it to a point, but worrying about it any further beyond that is just a big waste of time and energy and frustration. Understand no one likes paying tax, but it's required. It's there, and wasting that time and energy on saying, well, how can I reduce this, or I don't want to pay it. Happy to listen to it and help you understand it. But the sooner we can get our head around it, the faster we can move on and actually focus on things that can give us better outcomes.
It's also not something we can ignore anymore, Joe, is it? Because the ATO and the banks and all of that have really cracked down on this in the last few years. So if you need funding of any sort, you really can't have ATO debt, or if at that point in time you are getting funding, you're going to have to pay that in full. And I think it's something that we used to be able to get away with, clients not paying their tax or kind of being behind, but it's just something that, so not only are we the ones saying you can't, you have to be able to pay your tax and things like that. Now the banks are as well. Now they're also other suppliers like energy, like electricity. Those suppliers are actually getting notified by the ATO that they have a big debt with them as well. So it's just something that you need to start to budget for in your business expenses.
Yep.
So our tip is obviously treat tax like a bill, not a surprise. So create a new bank account, or what we call a bucket, and identify how much you need to be putting away each, fortnight or week when you do your wages. I tend to find it just naturally is a really good flow to do it at that point in time. So the PAYG on your staff wages and the super goes straight away. And then also 10% of all the sales that's hit the bank in the last week or fortnight since you last did it. That will give you more than enough for your BAS, because your BAS is generally your GST on your sales less your GST on expenses, your PAYG for employees, and then also potentially an income tax instalment. That will have enough money in there, for that, and maybe some extra to go towards your end of year tax bill. Now, an extra tip would be if you have a larger tax payable, put more than the 10% away. And work with your accountant on what that number looks like. Is it 15%? Is it 20%? But the key is that once you've transferred that money, you've got to mentally go, that's not my money anymore. So you can't bring it back to use it as cash flow in your business. You can only use the cash that is in the trading account. And I think that's the most powerful step, is you remove it so it's out of the bucket with everything else, and it's now no longer your money, and it's there to be able to pay those bills in full.
And it's and the thing with that is, and look, there are circumstances and times when you need dollars. Starting up businesses, we're doing with a couple of clients at the moment that just need that money to operate because they just haven't had sufficient working capital, all that sort of stuff. But an ongoing business or a going concern, really that should act as a big red flag that there's a cash flow issue or there's something, an upcoming challenge. If you're needing to access GST, super, all those sort of things in order to, or money you put aside for that in order to run your business. And again, that's just another reason to put your hand up and say, well, yep, give us a hand here, rather than just drawing back on that, because you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. That's what it comes down to. All right, we're running a little behind here, so I'm going to move through this one pretty quickly. I see the numbers coming in every month, but I don't really understand what they mean or what I should be looking for. How do I figure that out? So this is more around, okay, I've seen you show me a profit and loss statement, or I'm seeing my bookkeeper's seeing that, or I'm getting it from my accounting program, but I just don't know what it says or what it means and why I should look at it. So they're overwhelmed by information, but there's heaps of information there, but they don't know what to do with it. No accountability or ongoing conversation about that. And they don't know if they're improving or stagnating or going backwards or whatever that looks like. Lack of confidence to make more informed decisions because they don't know what it means. If you don't have the information there and you don't know what that's saying, then you're no better off making a decision. So numbers without context are useless. You need to actually know what they mean and take the time to do that. And sometimes it's, again, once you know what it looks like, it's pretty well the same thing over and over again, month on month for most businesses, or quarter on quarter. So once you get your head around that and the key ones, and if you look at a profit and loss or a balance sheet, Tam and I often talk about there's really only 2 or 3 key numbers on there that you need to know about. The other ones are all superfluous. Like they're just, they don't move terribly much. They don't make a big difference. So once you know those 2 or 3 key numbers, that's all you need to be looking at. And you can create a dashboard even from there. So you're not having to have a look at a report with 50 numbers on it. Quarterly reviews where the magic happens. We're going to talk about that a bit later as well. So, sit down with one of our team and actually talk about what this means and what impact that's going to have in the future, and how you can change it. Reports translate into action. So find out what's working and what's not, and then change that. Join it together with the workflow conversation. It's not about knowing every number. Just touched on that before. Regular reviews create rhythm, awareness, and momentum. Again, if you're looking at this every 3 months, you know what you're looking at, and you can take action and focus on the key things. So again, key tip here, meet with your accountant quarterly, not yearly. Don't think you're going to get your tax done and that's going to give you all the insights for the 12 months that have just been. Quite often people are getting their tax done. Even if you're getting it done now, that's 5 months after the year's finished. It's of no value to you at all, or very, very little value to you. You need to be able to understand what's gone on as quickly as possible after that period has ended, to be able to then take action and move forward onto in changing what's going to happen in the future. All right.
Beautiful. I'm always putting out fires. How do I find the time to focus on the big picture? So this is more around people just feeling trapped in that day-to-day of the business. They're not getting time to lift their eyes and more so work on the business, let alone they're just in the business so much. So feeling like taking time to plan is a luxury, not a necessity. You really don't necessarily know if you're improving or stagnating, and really lacking the confidence to be able to make those informed decisions. So our advice is, if you don't think about the big picture, you're going to get stuck in that same place all the time. So strategic planning isn't necessarily about the documents. It's about just having a bit of an idea of where you're heading. It's not, you don't even have to make a huge, big plan. It's just about knowing, just thinking that little bit bigger than in the day-to-day. We like to link your personal goals and business targets together. So kind of looking at that profit, cash, capacity, capability of team members, those sorts of things. Review it quarterly, adjust it, stay on track. So we find that small, focused 90-day actions. You just want to do one more thing better, or one thing in the next 3 months that's going to take you further towards that goal. So that's kind of what our tip is. So set that 90-day focus and stick to it. So break your big goal for the year or for the next couple of years into little chunks. So what's one thing that you can do to just move the dial on that in the next 3 months? Don't have to do everything, just the one, just one thing. The other one is, I suppose, a lot of people think that there's no such thing as priorities, so that you need to actually sorry, Joe, I think you wrote this bit at the last bit.
I did, yeah, I did. I wrote this morning. I heard this only a week or so ago. I thought it was really good.
Okay, you explain it, because then I'll learn.
Sure, yeah. So priorities is only a relatively new word. The word priority comes from Latin prioritas, which means first in rank or importance. So by definition, you can only have a priority. You can't have priorities. There's not multiple first things in rank. It might feel like it in business, but there is only one real important thing that's going to move the dial on a lot of other things. There's lots of important things, but there's only one number one. So do the work to define that number one, and then build individual actions around that thing. That's quite often what as simple as a strategy is. What is your number one priority? What's the one thing that's going to move the biggest amount of or create the biggest amount of change, positive change in your business? Focus on that. That's it. You don't have to, like, as I said, doing is the majority of it. So let's not let's not overcomplicate it and have 15 things we're going to focus on, because we're just not going to do them. That's the reality of it.
And we've even done this in our business this year, haven't we, Joe? We go away, we do our strategic planning each year, and quite often, no different to every business owner, we come away with a pile of 50 things that we need to do, and we just don't get those 50 things done for the year. So we literally all chose that one thing that we're just going to focus on, and I think it is working really well. So yeah, good opportunity to bring that up. Thank you.
No worries. Sorry for the last minute inclusions.
Sorry, guys.
All right. So bonus question. Things are taking off quicker than we expected. How do I make sure that it doesn't all come crashing down? So this is all around a fast-growing business. And quite often when you're good at what you do and you love what you do and all that sort of stuff, it does go pretty quickly without too much marketing or strategy or anything like that. It's just you're just good at it. People want to buy from you, whatever you're selling, whether it be yourself, your time, your product, whatever it is. And and it does grow pretty quickly, and it's hard to stay on top of that. So owner feels uneasy amidst growth. Can you handle it? We're often doing new things all the time when this is the case, because we've never employed people. Now we're having to employ people. We're having to train them. We're going to have to build a team. We have to create a strategy and communicate it well. All that sort of stuff. It's all new stuff. So this is why it's difficult. No systems or cash buffer for expansion as well. So growth costs money quite often. In different ways, in different businesses. And if you don't have that dollars there, even though all the opportunities are there, it can be very difficult to take advantage of that. And you're worried about breaking what's already working. So there's a little bit of fear that goes with that. And you don't want to grow too quickly. And I think that's more than reasonable. But we don't want to let that hold us back to the point where we just don't take any action. So as we said, growth eats cash. Just be mindful of that. And again, linking it back to that cash flow thing, if you think about what it's going to take, if you sit back and go, well, I sense we're growing very quickly here. What do we think this looks like over the next 6 months or so? What money are we going to need to spend? When are we going to need to start people? What's that going to look like? Again, you're not going to get it perfect because you're not a fortune teller. You can't see into a crystal ball, but you're just getting a bit of an idea of what it might look like and planning for that. So check these things before you scale. Do you have the buffer for bigger overheads or for one-off expenses? Can your team deliver without becoming burnt out? Do you need to build up their capability or add to the team? And control what do your systems scale with you? So do you have a certain amount of rigor in the business that means that the more of something that you're doing, that the system will hold up to doing that? Model the growth scenarios. We just said that before. The right structure and strategy turn opportunity into long-term success. Don't be blocked by those things. And then another one there, consider embracing it. You didn't go into business to be 100% safe. If you went into business and you thought it was going to be risk-free, you're mistaken. It's not. It's much less risky to stay in a 9 to 5, be paid every week, have that guaranteed income, know what your role is, all that sort of stuff, versus building a business. So if you got in there and that's the choice you made, then own that and take a bit of excitement from the fact that it's not all guaranteed, and surround yourself with the right people to help feel supported on that. All right, and a bit of a tip here: plan for growth like you plan for a tax bill, as Tam went through before it happens. And we're guessing a little bit here, but they're educated guesses. Model the impact of growth on your cash, your capacity, and the control you've got within your business. Growth eats cash, so plan buffers early, and then scale your people and system to match, not after. It's not perfect. You're not going to get it perfect. It's messy. It's difficult. It's rewarding. But it is going to be a difficult thing to do, and all we're really doing here is putting some ideas down before we start to move forward into the field of play effectively. And then what's Mike Tyson saying? Everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. That's pretty relevant here.
Very relevant here. I was just thinking. It's always good to think though, actually do some worst case scenarios, plan obviously best case, but if you actually consider the worst case scenarios, like what's the worst thing that could happen, and just think about it. If that happens, you already kind of started to formulate a bit of a plan for it. So don't spend too much time, but just genuinely having a more of a thought about growth, trying to have a bit of a plan will set you up for way more success than just letting it happen to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're the 5 questions and the bonus question of those effectively tens of thousands of questions that we get every year that are probably the most popular themes. And again, these are the questions that we notice that business owners that are growing, succeeding, and moving forward are asking. So we thought they'd be really good to share with you. And we shared those tips as well. Again, they're very broad, but maybe just having a bit of a think about, of those 6 tips, what one thing you learned from today, and there may be something else that we said that wasn't directly a tip. What one thing you learned today that you're going to implement immediately in your business? Again, this thing comes back to take the knowledge and use it. So, what's the one thing? So we'll just give you 10 seconds just to write that down. If you'd like to put it into the comments and share that, please feel free to do so. All right.
Beautiful. So our BizIQ final session for 2025 is coming up in a couple of weeks, Thursday, the 27th of November, 25. We're having it this year at the Museum of Vehicle Evolution, so Move in Shepparton. And it is a really good end of year session to reflect on 2025 and plan and set your priorities for 26. So what this is, for those of you who have never been involved in BizIQ, it's a group of like-minded businesses coming together who want to work on their business and learn things each quarter, and have that accountability loop of the rest of the group. So what we're encouraging this time is to get your business partners or leaders all on the same page and all come together. So it's going to be quite a good, really big, valuable session where, all those key important people in the business can come together to figure out what's worked and what hasn't worked in 25 and what do we change to move forward and make 2026 a better year for us. So it's going to be, a really good session, and really excited to get that happening in a few weeks. So if you would like to come along to that, shoot us an email at marketing@ptps.com.au, and we can get some information out to you on that.
Excellent. And Nerida, I haven't forgotten about our conversation last week, and I will be sending you a invite for that and a date, just so you're aware. All right. Any questions? Any further questions from what we've discussed today? Obviously, we've had the top 5 or 6 there, but if there's any questions based on anything we've discussed, please feel free. We've got about another couple of minutes here before we wrap up. So if there's anything we can assist with, whether it be something we've spoken about or something we haven't spoken about, please feel free to put it in the chat now, and we'll do our best to answer that.
I like that, Nerida. Breaking your one thing that you're going to do better for the next 12 months or take out of this is breaking down and doing better monthly budgeting rather than overall yearly budgeting. Thank you for sharing, firstly, because that's awesome. But I think that's really great because having that monthly fluctuations are way more beneficial to you than just having a look at this is kind of our yearly target, our yearly profit, that sort of thing, because a lot can happen over a year. So if you're looking at it, if you break it down and do monthly and then do budget versus actual, to kind of just see how you went with that and are you on track, are you not, then you can actually, you're armed with a lot more information to know if something's worked, something hasn't. Have you changed something? Do you need to change something for the next 30 days or 90 days? So thank you very much for sharing that.
Excellent. Okay, well, it looks like we've the 5 questions we put out there, or 6 questions, Tam, it looks like they answered all the key things we've got. We haven't had any others come through, so that's fine. If you have any other questions and you think of them afterwards, or you think of something afterwards, please don't hesitate to reach out. Always happy to have a chat. And a bit of a to-do list here. Create an accountability loop. We always talk about doing this. Again, this is all about action. Do something different from what you're doing today to change the result tomorrow. Create an accountability loop. Share the thing you're going to implement with at least one key person in your business. Now, that might be your business partner, husband, wife. It might be a manager in there. Note down 2 or 3 things that you'll need to action to get this thing implemented. So complete one of them immediately if you can. Get started. The hardest thing about any of this stuff, it's like anything in life that you want to change, is the hardest thing is starting it. Once you get started and you get something moving and you tell someone about it, you're much more likely to move forward. And then set a reminder for this time next week and one the week after to remind you to take action if you haven't already done it. Please feel free to register as a guest for our BizIQ session on the 27th of November. We'd love to have you along. And reach out to your accountant and organise a quarterly session to assist with education and action. They'll be more than happy to have a chat to you about how that looks and how that works, and organise something either leading into Christmas if you'd like to do that, or following on from the break when we get back. I feel like we break our lives into before and after Christmas from now on. So me included. So if you have any questions about that, reach out to your accountant. They'll be able to talk to you about it. All right, good plan today is better than a perfect plan tomorrow. It just comes back to that get started thing. It doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, a perfect plan tomorrow never gets started. So yeah, just get moving on it. And that's our details.
Thank you so much for coming along today, guys. And we are so sorry about the technical difficulties we've had. Some little challenges today. Hopefully we can, get over those for the next one that we do.
Excellent. Thanks, Tam. Thanks, Amy, for the stuff in the background. And thanks for everyone that's come along. Really appreciate it. Look forward to talking to you soon.
Sounds good. Have a nice rest of the day.